balance, fulfillment, and joy. I'm Kayla Sweet, and together we're going to have fun and create change from the inside out. I'm so glad you're here.
Welcome back, my friends. We are here again with Shana Danielle for our third episode together. If you missed the first two, I have to encourage you to go back and listen to them. There's a lot of foundational work with your mind, your mindset, making sure you're in alignment with your passion, and really keeping your internal landscape. Um, let's see, really manicured so that you can move forward in your life in a way that is intentional. So don't miss those two episodes. But today we're going to talk about something really fun that might or might not give you heart palpitations. We are going to talk about money. We're going to talk about the mindset we have around money, how we view it, how we use it for good, and how we can really shift our beliefs so that we're not being held back financially in our lives. So I think this is something everybody can benefit from, and I'm so excited to hear Shayna's perspective and some of the techniques that she uses to navigate this. So welcome back, Shayna.
Hello, hello, hello. I am excited to talk about the Monday.
Yes, I cannot wait to hear all of your thoughts. Just to briefly intro Shayna again, she is a best-selling author. She's a book strategist. She's a business coach. She helps authors and entrepreneurs turn their ideas into income and impact. So she's an expert on this stuff. It's about making money in a way that's meaningful, and you've got to have your mindset right to do that. So, Shayna, what else do you want to add for anyone who might have missed the first two episodes and are rebels and choosing to listen to this one first?
Well, before we dive into money, it is important that you go within and deal with some of the wounds and forgiveness. And that's why those other episodes are super important. And as you become the person who you desire to be, more healed, more whole, you will find adjusting a new mindset around money easier.
Yes. Oh, that's beautifully said and such an important reason to go back and do that foundational work. Because if you try to dig in here and you haven't done any of that work, you might struggle.
Yes, yes, yes. So I'm excited, Kayla.
All right. Well, let's just dig right in and let's talk about how you personally view money at this point in your life and then maybe how it's changed over time.
Yeah. So money is a tool to do good with. And when I was younger, my mindset growing up, whether it's from church or just regular colloquialisms, but money is the root of all evil.
Yep.
Time is money and money is time. And as I have evolved, as far as money is the root of all evil, and like for me, just being a Christian, reading the Bible for yourself, it actually says the love of money is the root of all evil. And it's just about not letting money control you.
Mm,
And so sometimes when we are learning to value ourselves more, we still find ourselves having a challenge charging for certain things, or if we have a career, asking for the pay that we want, because there's still some of these negative connotations around money. And when you become free from some of those mindsets, you realize that money is, again, a tool, it's a wealth building strategy, and it's something good. It's not something to be feared. It's the people. We look around this world at some interesting people who do maybe less than ideal things with and or for money, but the money itself is neutral.
mm. Yeah. Absolutely. I love how you frame it up as a tool that we can do good with or a neutral tool that we can use however we choose. And so yeah, some people do choose to use it maybe in less than helpful ways, but that doesn't have to be our choice and it shouldn't frame the way we're viewing it. This is something I've had to do a lot of work around. I grew up in poverty, so I think almost as a protective mechanism, a lot of times we were like, money is evil and people like we don't want to have money. The people who have money, like they're missing out on all of these opportunities to build character, whatever it was, however we justified that to really protect ourselves and to feel okay about our situation. As I grew up and moved into the professional world and wanted to create a stable life for myself, I had to work with that stuff because when you tell yourself money is bad, you are blocked from receiving any. So you're going to stay in that state of not having it.
Yeah, absolutely. Money, I sometimes tell people think about it as like in a relationship, if like a man is dating a woman. As women, do we want to be around somebody that says, I don't like you, stay away from me? Oh my gosh, you're so bad. That's how you feel about me? Okay. Well, money, I think is the same way. It's like, oh, you don't want me around? Okay, cool. I won't come. Call me when you're ready.
Yes. I mean, that makes perfect sense. Like we are blocking ourselves from it if we feel like it's this negative thing or people that have it are a certain way, the way we perceive people who have a lot of wealth, the thoughts we think about them, it prevents us from getting there if we think really negatively about people who are there.
And so, like, society does some of that, right? And it's a lot of subliminal messaging that comes through. But even when you think about a lot of superheroes, right? Like, a lot of those stories, not all of them, but a lot of them are the good guy or the good girl is poor and she came from poverty, and all of a sudden some external force came upon this person and now they have these powers and they get to do good. Meanwhile, they're going against the enemy, somebody who's really rich and they have all this money and they're super evil. But it's like now when you're a person who maybe doesn't have money, you don't realize the power to create wealth is within you. You just have to go within. You're looking for some sort of external superhero. Then you find people caught up in government systems for assistance forever, not as like a temporary state that we're in and we get out of, but it's like I just have to forever ask and ask and ask when you actually can go within and receive.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, it's this internal source that we're not tapping into if we have these beliefs around it that aren't useful or not helpful. I love that cultural alignment where we see that storyline. That is so accurate. Every superhero movie I've ever seen just flashed through my mind. I'm like, yes, it's the bad guys. They're always these really wealthy billionaires who are just out to harm everyone and everything that crosses their path. And that's not that's not money's fault, right? Like those are character those are character things. Those people got some work to do.
Yeah, no, for real. And like even when you look around you, right? It's like it's actually when you think about crime, crime is linked to poverty. It doesn't mean people who are wealthy don't do bad things, but more often than not, they minding their business, they donate to a couple charities. Like it's it's not what they have programmed us to believe. You think about a hammer. A hammer can build a house. Unfortunately, trigger warning, but it could bash somebody's head in. It's not the hammer that decides what gets created or destroyed.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I love this. Yeah, just visualization of money as a tool and that it can create or destroy, as you say. Have you always thought about money in this way,
No,
or how has this evolved for you?
absolutely not. So growing up where money was scarce, um, there was a lot of scarcity that I held on to, and I didn't even know that that's what I was operating from. It's just the way I was programmed, even down to time is money and money is time. No, time is infinitely more valuable than money. You cannot go back. At the time of this recording, it's December 7th, 2024. Tomorrow is December 8th. 2024. Once tomorrow, I cannot relive this day again. If I have some sort of downturn in business or financials or something, I can always go get some more money. I can never go get any more time. And it wasn't until I wrapped my head around that idea
Mm.
that things started to change for me. But that also meant that I had to get around different people because my current circle, my current sphere of influence growing up, nobody operated like that. It's you get a good job, you pay your bills, you pay your taxes, and you save just a little bit, and hopefully one day you have enough saved for your retirement. It's challenging when you don't up level you to become more valuable in the market space to save your way to $1 million.
Yeah, you're sacrificing your future when you have these blocks now. And it sounds like I like that you pointed out that it's also the people we're around and the mindsets that they carry and the ways that they operate because we're social creatures and we want to fit in. We kind of acclimate to the groups we're around unintentionally.
Hmm.
So when that's the norm, it becomes really easy to start thinking in those ways and living life from that place.
And I had to be intentional about the rooms that I put myself in. So it started with like maybe a $600 investment in my first business coach. And that business coach helped me realize like you can make 1K in one day. And I'm like, what? Like that was a new phenomenon for me because it's like, no, I make X amount of dollars an hour. And wow, what type of hourly wage would I have to make that? But it's like, no, the wealthy don't trade time for dollars. They
Mhm.
trade dollars for value. What value can you create where you can earn 1K in one day?
Yeah, the value piece, I think, is something that entrepreneurs, I'm sure writers, authors, the people that are coming to work with you, it's hard to shift from the hourly mindset that we've been programmed, from the time we get our first jobs, as teenagers or whatever, telling us kind of what our time is worth per hour. That gets really embedded in there. And then when you start trying to go out on your own, and I know I've had to do my work around this too as a life coach, like, w- how do I offer value that's going to compensate me well and that they're going to feel good about because the
Mhm.
the energetic exchange is so powerful that they don't bat an eye at that investment because it's
No.
truly an investment in them and
Yes.
it's the value I'm bringing, right? But you don't always see it that way. It takes a while to get there.
Yeah. And even how you communicate what you do, right? So whether again you're arguing for a higher salary or you're creating value in your business, right? Like life coach, let's say, oh, it's X amount of dollars per hour. Is that really what's happening? Well, yeah, I'm going to create this and I'm going to do 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 this. No. What, as a result of all of these things, does the person get to experience on the end? When you think about a travel agent is not talking about, well, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this, and then you're going to get on this plane and you're going to be cramped and you're probably going to be sitting next to mine that you don't like, and you're going to get in, you're going to have these tiny bathrooms and they might smell, and you're going to wait in this long line, and then you're have no, that's not what they're selling you. They're saying when you get here, you're going to have a beautiful vacation. You're going to have beautiful views. You're going to have this water. You're going to have all-inclusive meals and beverages and all those things. And so you're at the end. When you're in the Home Depot or Lowe's or whatever hardware store and maybe you're getting a new washer and a dryer. They're not talking about all of the things of, oh, we have to come in and we're going to do this and we got to take this out, and oh, you might have to get a new line. And no, you're going to have a more functional way and more efficient way to get your clothes washed, and it's going to save you money in the end because it's whatever the new feature is.
Yeah. Yeah. The value is in that end result, the way that people's lives are improved or changed. as a result of whatever the offering is, whether it's that book or that service, or like I'm glad you mentioned people who are negotiating for higher salaries within a corporate world, the value they're bringing to that company, that organization, their community. Like that is what you should have in mind as you're thinking about this salary or this income that you're going to start bringing to you. Yeah.
Yeah. So when we operate from that place, again, when we think about money, it's a different view. It's a different look. It's not, oh, I'm receiving money for these hours that I'm doing. No, I'm receiving income for the impact that I'm making.
Yes. Yes, income for the impact. I love that. That is gold. So I guess for yourself and also for people that you work with, because I know you do a lot of mindset work with your clients. It's about the books and getting these bulk sales, but it's about so much more than that. You take it so much deeper. How do you help people challenge and reframe these narratives? You mentioned, getting around a different environment, and we've talked through some stuff in other episodes, but specifically around money, are there practices
Mhm.
that you use to support people or that you lean on yourself?
Well, yes, and it starts with asking different questions. So, when you think about shifting your mindset around money, and we talked about that impact, well, what about instead of, oh, I can't believe I'm gonna get this? No. What impact can I make if I have the resources I need? So sometimes I tell people, oh, when they say how much they want to make, oh, I want to make $1,000 a month extra. I want to make $5,000 a month. I'm like, okay, so then let's figure out how much you need to survive. Like what covers your bills? And if this dollar amount only covers your bills and it doesn't allow room for savings or any of that, and allow you to be generous, you're being selfish.
Mm. Oh, that is so good. Yeah, you have to look at the fact that when you have income that not only supports you, but gives you room to breathe, you are able to be generous. When you're struggling from paycheck to paycheck, there's nothing left for anyone else, and you cling to everything you have.
So instead of for people who pray to somebody, instead of just praying for money, praying for an answer, I find that we get more creative in our thought process and our mindset when we say, make me a blessing, make me an answer. It's one thing
Mm,
when it's, I want to have enough money to buy me a house. It's another thing when we approach whatever we're doing or asking for. I want to have enough money to buy Kayla a house.
mm.
Because if I'm operating from a place of I want to give, the blessing has to pass through me. I have to already be cared for, right? So if I'm good, I'm not operating from a place of I need enough for me. That's scarcity. I am desiring to have enough for someone else. That's abundance.
Yes. Ugh,
Or
I
showing up in
love
a
that.
market space as I already have all that I need. And now I'm seeking to have for others.
I love that. This is something that can be integrated into people's spiritual practices, prayer, meditation, however you
Hmm.
connect with the divine.
Yeah.
And also it's like it's thought work at the same time. It's a psycho-spiritual approach, right? Like it's happening in here and it's happening in this larger sphere that we exist in. And you can have the intentionality to be able to support and to be generous, and that shifts it. It doesn't feel as icky either. I think
Hmm.
around people who feel like, oh, it's selfish to want more money, or I can't possibly ask for a raise. That makes me look like I'm so, all of these thoughts that
Yeah.
run through people's heads. Yeah.
And like I found that if you believe wealthy people are bad, so we have to challenge how we see wealthy people. If we believe wealthy people are bad, why would you want to become one? And then resentment, like That's why that whole forgiveness piece is so important because resentment creates a barrier to abundance. So I want to challenge anyone listening to find a wealthy person that you admire, someone who uses their resources for good, and reflect on the impact that wealth that they have. If we had our version of it, not what they have, but we had our version of it and we steward it wisely, what good could we do?
Mm. I think that's such a powerful practice because it's so easy to look for people that are using money in ways that we don't agree with. So to find somebody, like you said, that you admire, that's such a powerful way to just see a living example of what that impact could look like. And that makes it feel, I think, more tangible, more real, more possible.
Yeah. Like I watched when I was working at the jail, I think it was the CEO of Spanx or something, and I watched her give away um first class tickets to go somewhere and she was paying all these different things and I said, I don't know all the other things behind her business, but that point right there, I want to be that type of CEO. I want to be the person that my employees love to come and work here and I'm able to pour back into them. I want to be a person, again, we could look at the people who's, using child labor and paying people pennies. No, let me find somebody who's paying people well. I want to be that person that's in a position to pay people well. If that means that we have to charge more for our services, cool. We charge more for our services and we make sure we deliver massive value. Under promise, over deliver.
Yes, always. And when you deliver that value, it feels good. You know you're making an impact. And then that money is just the natural energetic exchange for that value. Like it, of course, there's going to be a reciprocity there.
And the other thing that I'd like people to think about when we say like ask different questions is what problems can I solve if I have financial resources?
Mm,
Instead of how much can I make, ask how much impact can I create? We just have to flip the question. And going back to like finding a person that you admire, we live in a polar world. At the same time, there is bad, there is also good. We have to find the good because whatever we focus on grows. Where our intention goes, energy flows. Money is energy. Currency, 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 current. It flows. It's not meant to be held and stored and gripped onto so tight.
mm.
It flows.
I think something in what you just said also helps people. It helped me, anyways, in this moment to kind of shift some of those feelings towards people with wealth as well, based on how they use it, right? Because I think sometimes there's this perception of people with wealth as like hoarders of money who just collect, 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 and never share. And there's no generosity and there's no impact. It's just money for money's sake to have it. And while, I mean, I'm sure there are some people that maybe have that approach, there's also the impact and the outreach that happens, and when it's not clung to in that way, when it's used for generosity and abundance, like it becomes this really powerful tool for good.
Hmm. Absolutely. When I was in Paris, because when we last talked, we talked about me going to Paris.
Yes.
One of the speakers there, Dr. Tanya, she talked about for women the importance of dismantling a lot of those views around money. And she essentially helps people increase their riches and their romance and how like women need to take our power back. And how I use superheroes, she used the fairy tales. She's
Mm,
talked about how Sleeping Beauty, right? All of a sudden awoken because some Prince Charming came and kissed her. She says, well, what if we reframe that story? We're not a victim, we are a vessel. And maybe Sleeping Beauty went within and found the power within her, and she awoke.
Mm.
Thinking about Ariel in The Little Mermaid. In order for her to experience love and have all that she desires, she had to give up her voice and who she was, her tail. And so that subliminally trains us that in order for us to have something, we have to sacrifice something.
Mm.
But we should be able to experience and have it all with grace and ease.
I am really glad that you brought up the way this impacts women specifically. That is the majority of our listeners. So, most of the people listening, not all, but most, do identify as women. And there are specific challenges that we have to face because of this extra layer of social programming when it comes to women and our power and our autonomy and our finances. Even legally, I mean, there were certain things we couldn't do not very long ago.
Very much so.
What are some ways that you see this showing up differently for women, and what are some pieces that we can do that might even be an additional layer for that empowerment and that shift of money isn't something that comes from this self-sacrifice or something that has to be given and provided to us? How do you help people step into that power?
I'm telling you, Kayla, it's the questions we ask ourselves and being so intentional about even making a decision on how richly we are willing to receive.
Mm,
Are we willing to receive a shot glass full, a bowl full, or an ocean full?
mm.
How richly are we willing to receive?
I feel like anyone who's listening should be writing down these questions and spending time with them afterwards, doing some self-reflection on these because these are really powerful. How richly do you want to receive? Because another thing, I think we don't always think about income as something we are receiving necessarily. We might think of it as something we are grinding for, working for, earning, trying to find a way to take. But it
No.
could, yeah.
I think about when she talked about Cinderella. Cinderella, a scandal, right? She was born into abundance.
Mm,
Born like you, woman, listening. You were born into abundance. Yet somehow Cinderella became a servant girl who felt the need for someone else to help her escape the reality. We find ourselves seeking some of these other things, whether it's through some unhealthy love situation or getting caught up in work, 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 work. I'm so tired. Work, work, work. I'm so tired. You were created abundant. At some point, I need you to wake up and remember that. Remember that you are abundant and make a decision on how richly you're willing to receive that abundance,
mm,
both in money, both in peace, joy, friendships, relationships. How richly are you willing to receive a shot glass full, a bowl full, or an ocean full? Take the limits off.
The way that you just moved abundance, like you included money, but you also just expanded it quite a bit to really help us frame it within the context of our lives. And I think that's very powerful too, that money is a piece of it. That's the topic we're talking about today. But when you have a scarcity mindset around money, you have a scarcity mindset around your life. And that takes a lot of reframing and shifting to move out of that space into something that does allow you to receive in your life. When you're in scarcity and you're just grasping, 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 there's never enough. There's not enough to go around. There's not enough for me. You aren't generous and your life feels constricting. It feels scary. There's fear and anxiety around that. So I love this just like bigger picture that you're painting for what we can do when we start to make these shifts and how we can think about it and ask questions that allow us to really shift our perspectives.
And like the reason why I want to expand it is because when you asked me about how did I start to reframe, I said I started getting in different circles. I then learned money is the lowest form of wealth. What does it profit you to have all of this money in the form of wealth if you don't have any time to enjoy? You work so hard now, you're tired, you, you don't have any time, or you don't have the health. So you got all this money in the bank, but you're sick.
Mm.
Spending all the time in a hospital. You haven't taken care of yourself. What does it profit you to have all this money if you don't have anybody to enjoy it with? Relational wealth. What does it profit you to have all this money if you don't have any emotional and or spiritual wealth, the sense of fulfillment, knowing who you are, why you're here? And then legacy. What does it profit you to have all this money if you haven't made a decision on the impact? Where is it going to go? The lives you're going to touch, the difference you can make. Money is just one piece of the puzzle, but it's not the goal. It's a resource that helps you achieve the things that really matter. What mental capacity do you now have when you're not thinking about keeping the roof over your head? If a tire goes flat, how you're going to pay for that? You create so much more mental bandwidth to focus on other problems, other opportunities. When we focus on creating wealth in all areas of our life, we live fuller, more meaningful lives.
Mm. Yeah, this idea of wealth and abundance is something that is so much bigger. And I think most people have a sense of that anyways, and that's where some of these ideas of money being evil come from because we know there are more important things than just cash in the bank, but to reframe that to think about it as a tool for and to add to and to contribute to these other forms of wealth in your life, that rich family life, that rich community life, that rich spiritual life. If you are worried about paying your next bill or if something goes wrong, you're right, you don't have the capacity. You're stuck in that place of fear, and it is a very, very scary place for people to be. I spent a lot of my time working in community mental health. Everybody I worked with was in poverty, and it is so hard to step into like deep spiritual growth, deep personal growth when your constant thought is, are we going to have our next meal? Like that is just not a place that you can create from. It's hard to create community. It's hard to create ideas, to create connections, to create experiences when there's that layer of fear. So that just makes so much sense to me.
Yeah. So now let's start to dive in like to some of the more practical tools, right?
Yes.
Where step one is acknowledge and challenge your scarcity beliefs. So when you start to hear yourself say things like, there's never enough money. I can't afford that. I can't afford, like, even if it's a dress, a pocketbook, a car, I can't afford that. Even if you may not have the necessary money in the bank just yet, I'll get that when I want. Not, I can't afford that. Wealth is for others, not for me. We have to challenge those. And we also, I know it's deeper work, but we have to identify where the belief came from. Then is it absolutely true? and then replace it, the law of substitution, replace a thought with a thought.
Mm.
So replace it with the affirmation like, I have the ability to create opportunities. There is enough for everyone, including me. So, like some of those negative thoughts you might have had about the wealthy people, don't worry about them. There's enough for everyone, including me.
Yeah, those positive reframes, I feel like that's a superpower of yours to be able to kind of translate. And I know that we've talked about this on the other episodes, but you keep all of these tools and resources like literally in your back pocket in your
Yep.
phone, easy to access because sometimes we need a reference, right? Like sometimes it doesn't just come. So listen to Shayna and take some of her inspiration, some of her ideas, and then people can maybe sit with themselves and think, what are some of these reframes? When I notice this, what can I plug in? Because I think sometimes it's hard in the moment when you're at the grocery store, you see something online, you're like, oh, I really want that. I can't have it. It's too expensive. You're telling yourself over and over. So you've got to have something you can plug in to replace that, and start recognizing it, which takes practice, but
And so, like, I read the book Cybernetics, and like, our mind is a computer, it's an operating system, and it's going to give us what we tell it. For example, if someone just got a car that we know, or there's a car that we just purchased, all of a sudden we see this car everywhere. It's always been there, but we just now trained our mind to look for it. So when we say, I can't afford that, our brain continues to see different opportunities or obstacles that gets in the way of us having it. But when we say, how can I afford that? And we go to sleep and visualizing us, we have it, all the things. I'm tapping into a little bit more visualization, but our brain then goes to work. And now all of a sudden we see other opportunities as like, oh, wow, look at this. We find money in our coat pockets. Like it's been there.
yes. Ah.
So, yeah.
Okay, so I know we're talking about the practical tools. I'm trying to keep myself oriented because I can get very ethereal. But okay, so we've got asking different questions. We've got
Yes.
surround yourself with different people. Catch
Yes.
these harmful money thoughts in action and have a resource, a toolbox of replacement thoughts, affirmations that are more true, more useful, more fueled from abundance and impact. Is there other things that you can,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, recommend? Let's
Yep.
build
Got a
on
whole
this.
lot. Got
Yeah,
a
let's
whole lot.
build.
So practice gratitude daily. Gratitude is the foundation of abundance. So the same way how we just talked about reframing with affirmations, right? Scarcity focuses on what's missing. Gratitude focuses on what you have. So when you cultivate gratitude, you rewire your brain to see abundance. So every day, no matter how small it may seem, I'm grateful for a warm home. It's some people literally freezing outside. I'm grateful for my ability to learn and grow. I'm grateful for my ability to have someone in my life that loves me, if it's just one person. And so when you practice gratitude daily, that shifts your energy and opens you up to recognizing opportunities that align with abundance.
Mm,
So every day when you wake up, at least 3 to 5 things you're grateful for every day.
yeah. I think it's fun when you do these kind of gratitude practices too, to really challenge yourself to like not repeat the same things. As much as possible, like within the week or within the month. Like, can you keep finding things? Because you can. Like, we have so much more to be grateful for than we usually realize. And once you kind of dig past those initial things that come up, the most obvious, maybe areas of abundance in your life, like there's still more, there's still more, there's still more, because we're still here, we're breathing. Like, we've got something to be grateful for.
Yeah. Girl, I ask people at the end of the year, I ask my clients to come up with 52 things you were grateful for.
Mm.
Like the first 10, first 20, but no, find 52, at least one for each week. Find 52 things you are grateful for from this past year.
I love that. Because they probably feel so wealthy then looking at this list. Like,
Yeah,
wow, look at what I have.
yeah. And so another tool is also to reframe the financial transactions that take place now. So let's say you're paying for education. No, you're investing in your skills. I am paying for help. No, you're freeing up your time to focus on high value tasks.
Yeah. Oh, that's powerful. The shift from like spending to investing.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And like, I like to, like, for me, I want to say, like, this last year, I've been doing my best and I'm still working on it, but removing the word spend from my vocabulary because it's something psychological that happens in our mind when we see spend. Oh, I'm spending here, I'm spending there. I spent money at the grocery store. Spending is in alignment of it left and it's never coming back. So even now, it's like how I just said paying for education. I paid with money. I use money. I circulate money. I don't spend money. And then I tell my money what to do. Like literally, I have it in my phone, but I have a sticky note right here. So for me, again, whoever your divine is, but for me, I say, I see God multiplying back to me all of the money that I use, give, or circulate in any way in a never-ending cycle of increase and enjoyment.
Mm.
In a never-ending cycle of increase and enjoyment. So when I use money to pay my light bill, I tell money what to do. Money going out there now come back with some more money. I tell my money what to do.
I love that. I also, okay, I love the way that you frame circulation of money. And I know you talked about it as a current, as something that circulates. Let's dig into that a little bit more for us if people haven't heard of money in this way. So instead of thinking it as something that, like you said, it's gone, it's spent, it's never coming back, how can we start to do that reframing to recognize the circulation of this currency?
Before we do that, I first think we have to think about water because water is also a current. And when you think about a flood, right? When a flood happens, the water rises to a certain level initially, but eventually it recedes and it finds its level. So until you can be the container or the reservoir that can hold a certain dollar amount, you'll always spin back down to the level that you are comfortable with. And so that's why it's so important that you go within and see yourself as the person who already is whatever the dollar amount is you want to have. I already have $500,000. I already have $1 million. I already have $10 million. I'm already a billionaire. Like you become that person and then you make decisions, you start to think from that person. Like literally, you have to become the container that can hold it. Like when you think about people who win the lottery and it's like, man, in a couple years they're broke, but they they weren't comfortable. They have not within themselves became that version of themselves that can hold this certain dollar amount. So like a flood, the current of the water is always going to flow back out and find its level.
Mm. That is so powerful. I am I'm a little bit mind blown right now. And I'm glad that you brought me back a little bit because it just continues to circle us back to this point of, yeah, if you haven't done that work to become the kind of vessel, the kind of container that this money can circulate back to, then you're not going to see those results in your life. Yeah. Mm.
So when you circulate money, right, you're putting money to work. So you work, you receive money, and then when that money comes in, you eventually buy your time back by circulating that money. So whether it's growing a business, supporting others, meeting personal needs, this flow creates opportunities to ensure money finds its way back to you in new forms.
Mm. So poetic to think about money this way. Like it's like giving me the feel goods, which is a weird thing to experience around this concept when we're so programmed to have the ick feelings around
Hmm.
it. But this idea of this flowing in this natural and reciprocal way where we're able to create impact and create power that's used for good and to enhance our overall wealth in our lives and our friendships and our family and our community. Like it just makes this seem like something that is, it's a spiritual endeavor, right? Like it's so much more than money in the bank. Ugh.
And like how we talked about gratitude, right? Like when we think about currency and it flowing, even reframing how we pay our bills. Paying bills can be seen as circulating money. Instead of feeling resentful, focus on the value you receive. So paying your electric bill, the comfort and convenience of having light and warmth.
Mm,
Paying for software is tools that help you run your business or home efficiently. I'm grateful I can afford this. This payment is part of my growth and success.
mm.
So now, instead of us being resentful about having to pay for this bill, we're grateful we get to pay the bill.
Yeah, because then we're receiving that value too, right? Like we offer value add and we receive that income, but we also get to receive the value of whatever it is that we are deciding to circulate money towards or to invest in. So in
So
that, yeah, that's so interesting. Ah, I love that.
So I know we're running out on time, but
I
it's two
know.
more things I want to at least cover.
Okay.
And I want to talk about that visualization part, like visualizing abundance. So create a clear vision of what abundance looks like for you. Imagine the life you want to live, the opportunities you want to attract, and the impact you want to create. Visualization helps you stay focused on what's possible rather than what's missing. So if it's a certain house you want to buy or give away, go to an open house and look at it. Just go look at it. If it's a certain car that you want to buy now, just going to take you being able to be firm and say no. But they offer test drives. Go test drive it. So it's one thing to close your eyes and see it happening, but when you actually somehow find a way to step foot in it, now when you're not in it, you close your eyes, the visualization becomes more tangible.
Mm. Yeah, and it pulls that visualization into real life. I love that because sometimes you think something's not possible until you do see it or feel it or touch it. And some people are very good at the visualization and others struggle with it. So if you're someone that can't conjure up that mental image and feel that when you're in solitude, like find something in the world to help you with that. I love that.
And then the other thing is take small, abundance driven actions. So maybe it's like, do I really need to get my nails done for the next 2 months? Or can I shift and invest in something that helps me create more money?
Mm.
And eventually, I'll be able to do this and that. I'll be able to get my nails done and invest in the next thing. How can I solve a problem for someone else? What skill or resource can I share? Like for me, when people come to work with me, one of the things that I do is I do a almost hour-long consultation call in the beginning. And it's not like we just get on the call and oh, this is my offer. Are you buying it or no? Mm-mm. Like we spent like 20 minutes doing a deep dive into what their problem is and what is going on and how we can create a plan of success. And now you get to choose whether you want to go at this alone, not do it at all, or do it with support. If you want to do it with support, we can help you. Every call doesn't result in somebody working with me. But guess
Hmm.
what? That's me sowing seeds into the marketplace. Doing a podcast like this is sowing seeds into the marketplace. It's like if I want to make $100,000, how can I create $100,000 of value in the marketplace?
Mm.
And money
Yeah.
has to show up. It has to. You cannot create that much value and then not show up. It's like, oh, wait a minute, somebody's calling me.
I'm needed over there.
Yeah,
I love that.
I am a mentor with one of NASDAQ's program for women in entrepreneurship. They have something called Milestone Circle. So I'm a mentor there. And I've been serving these women in entrepreneurship through this program that NASDAQ helps funds. And some of the women was just talking about some of the amazing things that I have been doing and supporting them with. And they just offered me the opportunity to serve a different type of circle through their program. And that involves, instead of a virtual graduation, an in-person graduation in LA in February. And just yesterday, they said, we want you to coach these women and we want you to go to this graduation in LA in February.
Oh my gosh.
But I was just showing up, serving, creating value.
Yes.
That's
Oh,
not even a paid opportunity. That's one of the ways I give. So I give in this area.
well, and that shows how that wealth circles back to you when you offer it out too. Like you're creating this value and now you're getting this experience that's going to be so powerful, so transformative for you, but for every single woman that you get to touch through that, because that's what happens when you give generously. Like these things expand and multiply.
Money has to show up when you elevate the value you create in a market space.
Mm.
If you're on your job and you show up and you're there a little bit earlier, maybe not a lot, just a little bit earlier, and you find ways to create solutions. So instead of just going to your supervisor with a problem, you go to your supervisor with, hey, I noticed such and such is wrong. And I was curious if maybe we could fix it with this, this, and this. This shows them that you're thinking different, you're creating value for them. And then you'll find yourself, whether it's through that job or if they don't value you, somebody else is going to see that. And you'll find yourself getting paid more, having different opportunities. When I worked in the jail as a correctional officer, I spent a lot of my time talking to different CEOs and department heads of other programs, whether it was some sort of food program or like VOA, like different programs. I'm in rooms with them at an officer level, something that lieutenant, captain, or deputy warden should be doing. But they sent me to go so that way they didn't go. So they got to do something else with their time because I was creating opportunities and solutions for them. So other people was like, how she do that? How she get that? My knees weren't dusty. I just created value.
Yes. This, okay, I'm glad that you brought this up, especially as we're getting close to our time, because I think, as people who are in the entrepreneur space, we can sometimes frame things up that way. But this reminds us of how powerful all of the things we've talked about are, no matter what your goals are with your career and the way that you strive to earn income so that you can make this impact in the world. You can make impact from wherever you're at, whatever kind of organization you're serving in, by looking for those problems, offering those solutions, and really striving to bring value. Because once you know you've brought value, it's going to feel a lot easier to then negotiate for the type of income that that impact is worth, or that it'll just find you. And that's how it's often worked for me too, in different spaces when I've navigated the corporate world, because I have a foot in that door as well. And it's like the more impact you create, the opportunities find you. You don't even have to look for them. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
So, like, we talked about me in Paris, right? As we're wrapping up, and we're talking about opportunities finding us just because we show up and we create value. Well, the MC who was supposed to be MCing that event in Paris didn't show up, whether it was health reasons, they weren't there. So, the woman who was hosting the event for entrepreneurs said, Do you think that you could be the MC for this event? Well, I sure can.
Oh,
And so I showed up. I was the MC for all 3 days. So I went from having one speaking opportunity on the third day to showing up and speaking multiple times over all 3 days, creating value. At the end, she told everyone, yeah, she was not supposed to be the MC, y'all, but she was here. And I asked her the morning of the event, and everybody was blown away. This is, oh my gosh, this is her. I'm prepared. I ended up getting booked for 4 more MC events in 2025, two domestic, two international. And because I was there serving the photographer who was there, she was having an interesting time and her son was there, and I have a 14-year-old, and I was just there supporting her. The Monday after the event, because I wasn't flying out to come back to the States until Tuesday, she said, I want to give you a gift. And she followed me from sun up to sundown around Paris because that was my tourist day. And she took pictures of me. How much would something like that cost?
mm,
To have your own personal photographer who's from California fly to Paris, take your pictures from sun up to sundown.
mm.
And she did it for free.
Oh my gosh. I feel like we need an episode just to talk about your Paris endeavors because I am so excited about this. I love that they asked you to MC because I can see how one, like obviously you would need no preparation. You would be perfect for that. Like you just bring this soul and this insight and this wisdom with you wherever you go. So I am sure you created so much value for that group of people. And obviously that showed up because then you have it's that circulation, that reciprocity, all of these things that are coming back to you because you stepped into that space of service. Like, how powerful. Thank you for sharing that.
So yeah, so y'all make sure y'all go listen to them other 2 episodes, go through this one again, write down those questions, reflect, process. Oh, this was
Yeah.
good, Kayla.
Yeah, this is magic. So, okay, we're gonna wrap up. Is there any final things you want to say to people who are listening if they're feeling stuck? Maybe this all sounds nice, but like they're struggling. What are the final things you want to leave people with before we say goodbye?
Anchor yourself in gratitude during uncertainty. During tough times, scarcity can creep back in. And so, to combat this, double down on gratitude and focus on what's in your control. Control the controllables. Ask yourself, what is one more thing I can do today to create more abundance? Remind yourself, this season is temporary. I am resourceful and capable,
Mhm.
because overcoming a scarcity mindset is an ongoing process. And it's about training your mind to see opportunities rather than obstacles, and trusting that you are equipped to create the life you desire.
Mm.
Scarcity says there's not enough. Abundance says I am enough. Choose abundance.
Okay, that just gave me goosebumps. I am so grateful to you for this time. Yeah, I just cannot express even in words, and that's impressive because usually I have a lot of words. How grateful I am that you've shared this time with me and that we've been able to create this value for everyone who listens. And I just know they're going to take so much powerful, yeah, impacts away from this and be able to spread that to the world. So thank you for showing up, spending this time with me, pouring out your heart and soul, sharing all these tools. You're just so amazing. I'm so grateful our paths have crossed. Do you want to tell people where they can find you if they want to stay connected?
Yes, you can find me on most social media platforms as I am Shana Danielle. So it's SHANADANIELLE. And if you are an author who or desires to become an author and you want to make impact, I have a free gift for you at thrivingwithbooks thrivingwithbooks.com. It's an ebook guide and it's very short, right? Straight to the point that walks you through step by step the things you need to consider. And I also have a bonus training video that talks about selling. So thrivingwithbooks.com.
Amazing. Another act of generosity. We will link that in the show notes too to make it really easy for people to find. Thank you. Okay, friends, this has been amazing. I'm sure you've gotten as much from it as we have. Now take it and go create value and impact and abundance in the world. Don't leave this in the episode. Make it real for you and take care of yourselves until next time. Bye.
Thank you for listening. If you want more resources on thriving in your life or want details on working with me, check out my website at internallyguidedleadership.com or follow me on Instagram, Facebook, or TikTok at Internally Guided Coach. Be gentle with yourselves out there, and I'll talk to you next time.